happened to come across this video about the Arch of Baal coming up, and they know this stuff real because it's in the scriptures. That's why they going over there digging up all this stuff, sending them archaeologists out. And it's not Baal, it's Baal. I keep hearing these people that's making videos, they calling it Baal. But it's a scripture that talk about Jezebel, why she was killed and how she was killed, because she was bringing that Baal stuff around. I'm gonna read out of the book of 2 Kings. I'm gonna start at chapter 9, verse 30. It's saying, when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out a window. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, had Zimri peace, who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And the eunuchs, if people don't know about the eunuchs, they actually men to get castrated. They go guard like a king or a prince, like a woman or a daughter or something like that, so they won't commit adultery. That's what it really come from. And at verse 33, it's and he said, throw her down. So they threw her down. They threw this bitch down from the window. That's basically what they did. They threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall. And so I know some people might get offended at my speech because I might say certain words, but when you read the scriptures, it talk about though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge. So excuse the speech and don't be weak about no speech. But this ain't even our language. But it say, and he said, throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he chode her underfoot. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, go see now this cursed woman and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. That's why the eunuchs was guarding her, because she was a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Before they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah. And the Tishbite saying, and a portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field, and the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall say, so they shall not say, this is Jezebel. So they didn't even recognize who it really was, but they remember that area though. All right, I'm gonna go back over too about this Baal, worshippers of Baal killed. I'm gonna talk about it in 2 Kings chapter 10. I'm gonna start at verse 20. There's more stuff you can read if you want to read in more detail, the full spectrum of it. But all this stuff where they putting them now, this is what it go back to. And for people to be like the scriptures ain't real and be like, oh, a white man wrote that book, people, man, you gotta be blind and stupid. Like all this stuff is literally right in our face, and it's still going on to this day. Just different names, different titles. They might even use the original name. They ain't even got no shame. Now they call it the Arch of Triumph, but it's still the Arch of Baal when you go into the details. But in chapter 10, verse 21, it say, and Jehu sent through all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that came not. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was full from one end to another. So a lot of these niggas was with that. Just like now a lot of these rap niggas, they worship that stuff, they don't even realize it. They worshiping the fertility goddess, the money goddess, God, or whatever they want to call it. And he said unto him that was over the vestry, bring forth vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, search and look, that there be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, but the worshippers of Baal only. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said to any of them, if any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that letteth him go, his life shall be for the life of him. So they weren't playing, man, about this Baal stuff, because they already knew, like, our people, and a lot of people, they still mess with this stuff too. You got Halloween coming up, that's Baal worship. You got Thanksgiving coming up, that go back to Baal worship. You doing the praying around the table and all that stuff and giving thanks. That's what they was doing. They was giving thanks to a deity. Doing the same stuff back then, rituals and shit. Same thing with Christmas. That's a whole nother story when they go back to the Saturnalian Nimrod and all that stuff. I'll speak on that later, Lord's willing. Let's say, back to verse 24. And when they had went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed fourscore men without, and said, If any other man whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that letteth him go, his life shall be for the life of him. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of the offering, the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, Go in and slay them. So they weren't fucking off nothing about this Baal stuff. Because our people, they gravitated towards it the most. It was mainly a lot of our people that was doing it. They say, Let none come forth. And they smote them with the edge of the sword. And the guard and the captains cast them out. And went to the city of the house of Baal. And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal and burned them. And they break down the images of Baal and break down the house of Baal and made it a drought house. And to this day, a drought house. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Salakia if I am. They say, Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Howbeit from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. So you had a lot of our rulers. You had some righteous kings set up, and you had some wicked niggas. They ain't know how to rule. They was doing the same thing as these heathens was doing. They wanted to worship their gods and their deities and all that stuff when we got the greatest power ever. They say, Jehu departed not from after them to with the golden calves, like back in Egypt, that golden calf stuff, that were with Bethel, and that were in Dan. And the Lord said unto Jehu, Because thou hast done well and executed that which is right in my eyes, has done it to the house of Ahab, according to that was in my heart, thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. Which, the reason why, because they talk about reincarnation, the fourth generation, you always come back. So, that reincarnation stuff is real. Just like them putting that ball up statue and all them little arches they got put up around the world, that's real too. There's another scripture I want to get into, talk about Elijah. When he was going against them and they was worshiping what they was worshiping. And he was basically telling them to set up their altar and call on your God and see what happened. Or he called on Yahweh and see what happened. So hold on, bear with me real quick. I got the scripture highlighted. I know I'm marking it here on one of these pages. Okay, here we go. See, like about it. I know it took me a little minute, longer than I expected, but I know I was gonna find it. I had it marked in here. All right, well, let's see where I'm gonna start at. It's in chapter 18, the 1 Kings. I'm gonna start at verse 17. But yeah, I saw that 16, even though I got it highlighted at 17. It says, so Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah, and it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, and Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, which our people still do to this day. They don't care about them commandments like that. Then you got a lot of people that's telling our people, oh, you ain't got to keep the commandments. The law done away with. When the scriptures clearly say, faith without works is dead. So you got to do some works. You can't keep all the commandments because it's a gang of commandments. So as soon as we wake up, you're sinning because you ain't supposed to wear mixed fabrics. You might wear denim with cotton. You might have on some linen with some suede or something, and you might not even really be realizing it, but you just putting it on because that's just how stuff set up right now. So you can't keep all the commandments perfect, but you can still try to, work on them and practice on keeping the commandments. And the Lord see that. Let's say, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, thou hast followed after Baalim, which is just another name for it, but it still got that root word Baal in it. It said, now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So they was messing around with chilling with Jezebel. It says, so Ahab sent unto the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel, and Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt you be between two opinions? So you got a lot of people now. I even go around people, I be telling them, yeah, I'm into the scriptures, I know about the word, I read the whole Bible. I understand it fully. I know about the precepts, line upon line, here a little, there a little. I know about our history. I actually research and stuff. There's people I listen to and I learn information from them too. And they'll be like, yeah, but what about Buddha? And I'll be like, what? Like, you niggas doing the same shit back then. Or they don't even say just Buddha. They'll be like, oh, what about Shiva? And them damn Hindu damn goddess and whatever that dumb shit is. Man, fuck all the other deities. And then you have some people that'll be like, oh, what about the Quran? What about, what's that shit they worship? That fucking Muslim shit. Whatever that shit is. That niggas going to worship stones and shit. Like, that shit's silly as hell when you go back to the origins of it. But our people was doing the same shit back then. That's why the scriptures say, Elijah came into all the people and he said, how long halt you be between two opinions? If the Lord be Yahweh, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word, because they was looking stupid like, dang, here he go. Then said Elijah unto the people, I only remain a prophet of the Lord. Baal's prophet of 450 men. So you had, and that's another thing too. Like, whoever brother might come across this video or listen to some of this stuff, whenever you serving the Lord, everybody not gonna be with it. You might be dolo for a long time, solo dolo, until you might happen to come across another brother into the scriptures or certain stuff like that. But most of these people, they don't want to hear nothing about no scriptures. They don't care about nothing. They want to go turn up, party, and live. They want to, like this new shit people been saying lately. They want to live their best life, which is stupid as hell, because you can't live your best life in Babylon. But it say, then Elijah unto the people, I only remain a prophet of the Lord. I was prophet of 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord Yahweh. And the God that answer by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you 1 bullock for yourselves and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. So they went and prepared their little altar and they little supposed to be sacrificing all that. And they took the bullock which was given them. And see, a lot of pastors won't read, they'll jump right past this type of stuff. Because many times I don't been around people, they never really brought this stuff up. But I don't learn so much stuff over the years. It's a blessing to even know about this, because when I was younger, I didn't know this was in here. But now I can say I know now. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal, And a lot of these pastors worship Baal. We want to be real though. And they say the name of Baal from morning, evening, until noon. So these niggas was calling. They just calling on them, doing whatever. And let's gonna get more into it. It's saying, "Oh Baal, hear us," but there was no voice. And all these other deities, yeah, a lot of these deities do exist, but they still subject to the one and only supreme, the ancient of days, Yahweh. They say, "Oh Baal, hear us," but there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made, and it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them. So Elijah was talking shit like, "Hey," and he said, "Cry aloud, for he is a God." He said, either he is talking or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey or a pre-adventure. He sleepeth, and he must be awake. So Elijah was talking shit like, "Where he at?" He said, and they cried aloud and cut themselves. That's why you have a lot of these people that be doing that now, cutting themselves. That go back to Ball too. People be on this emo, silly ass shit. And say after their manner with knives and lancets, till the blood gushes upon them. And I gotta highlight it over some more, but I'm gonna read all through this because it got a lot of meat in these scriptures and it touch a lot of stuff about this Baal worship. So it's saying it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering the evening sacrifice that there was neither voice nor any answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, "Come near unto me." And all the people came near unto him, and he prepared the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, and to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, "Israel shall be thy name," because Jacob's name was changed to Israel when he wrestled with the angel. And it said, and with the stones he built up an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench about the altar as great as wood contained 2 measures of seed. And you got a precept to go back to Exodus um, chapter 20, verse 25. You want to read some more into what he's talking about. And it said, and he put the wood in order and cut the bullock in pieces and laid him on the wood. And said, fill 4 barrels of water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice on the wood. And he said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. He said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran about the altar and filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord, Yahweh, God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, Yahweh. Hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord, Yahweh, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw this, they fell on their faces. And they said, the Lord, He is, which that's where the word Yahweh come from. He is, He exists. They say, He is the God, the Lord, He is the God. That's why that name Yahweh is broken down like that. He is, He exists. Just like Yahweh Shai. He is the deliverer. And as most scriptures are going to why He's called the deliverer. But anyway, in verse 40 it says, and Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. So that Baal stuff, man, these devils, they putting this stuff up. They know where it go back to, but they must think that the Most High, they must think the Most High sleeping or something, like He don't know what's going on. Well, I just want to go into that little quick little lesson, because I know somebody might come across it and might want to see that and want to go back to certain scriptures. But it's in the book of Kings, the first book and the second book. You want to read into it some more. So, shalom to the elect, shalom to the apostles, the teachers, the other elders, and call all Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I hope this video is edifying, and I'll make something else later on. Shalom.